going to go to Mr. Kucinich. We're going to be a little lopsided for a minute.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Feldberg, how often do trustees meet? And could you speak into the mic, please?
Yes. We have decided, as a matter of discipline, that we will meet at least once a week, and at least one of those meetings a month will be in person. So the absolute minimum has been a meeting a week.
So you meet telephonically, then, at least?
At least a telephonic meeting a week and one in-person meeting a month. However, that's the minimum. I would, without having numbers hard numbers I can give you, I would say that we've probably met in person at least twice a month since we've been operating.
And with those, are minutes kept of your meetings?
Yes.
Can you make available to this committee the minutes of your meetings?
Those minutes, under the terms of the trust agreement, I believe, are provided to the Federal Reserve Bank in New York, and I think are their property. I suspect that we have to go to the Federal Reserve Bank in New York to get them. So the minutes
of your meetings are not your property, they're the property of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York?
That may be a little strong.
Well, that's what you just said.
Yeah, no, I know, and I may have been a little strong in saying that, but it is my understanding that the minutes belong to the Federal Reserve. I could probably use the advice of counsel to be sure I've got it right, because I don't want to mislead you.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I think that in order to be able to evaluate the work of these trustees, I think it's imperative that this committee get the minutes of their meetings and get their phone logs so we can know what they talk about. Now, Mr. Feldberg, when did you become a trustee?
When the trust agreement was first signed.
What was the date?
The specific date? January 16th of this year.
So you never had any discussions then with anybody at the New York Fed regarding the $8.5 billion in payments to Barclays as a counterparty?
Absolutely none, Mr. Congressman.
And do you, so your decisions really are not transparent then? We really don't know what you do as a trustee if we don't get, if you can't produce minutes.
Well, I didn't say we can't produce minutes, sir. I said that I think we need to check with the Federal Reserve Bank of New York before committing to something.
Well, you worked for the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, is that correct?
I did, yes.
And how long did you work for them?
36 years. Okay.
And were you asked by officials of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York to be a trustee?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And Ms. Considine, you worked for the you were a member of the board of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, is that correct?
That's correct.
And were you asked by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York to be a trustee?
Yes, I was.
And who made that request of you?
Tom Baxter, who is the general counsel.
And Mr. Feldberg?
The same, Tom Baxter.
And do you report to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York on a regular basis?
I would say that we have conversations with the Federal Reserve Bank of New York on a regular basis. I would not characterize it as our reporting to them. It is really a vehicle for us exchanging views and information and analysis. It's very much a two-way street.
Isn't it true that Section 4.01 of the trust agreement calls for the trustees to provide the New York Fed with monthly custodial reports, quarterly summary of significant actions, quarterly reports summarizing the efforts and activities to affect the sale or distribution of trust stock or other trust asset, minutes of any meeting, divestiture plan as amended time to time by the trustees? Isn't that true?
Yes.
So would it be fair to assume that the Federal Reserve Bank of New York has a significant role in monitoring the work of the trustees?
Yeah, I would say that they have a significant interest in the work of the trustees.
Are you trustees on behalf of the Federal Reserve Bank, or are you trustees on behalf of the U.S. Treasury?
We're trustees on behalf of the trust
Yes.
that holds
absolutely.
the 79% equity on behalf of the U.S. Treasury.
And then, can you explain to this committee, then why do you respond to the Fed? Why is this trust agreement structured so that your accountability is to the Fed?
Go ahead.
I don't think that's the reading that I would give to it, because number one, in terms of visibility of our responsibility is to act as the shareholder, and that is to vote the shares. Now, when the annual meeting occurs of AIG, we will be voting for the trust, the directors. We will vote the trust for the directors. We will vote for the auditors, and we will vote for any other proposals that are coming before the shareholders. That will be absolutely open, public. As part of the agreement, yes, we are to provide minutes and, of course, expenses back to the Fed. But we were selected to be totally independent trustees, and I believe that's the way we function.
Mr. Chairman, my time's expired. I'm going to need to ask questions along these lines, if I may, as a follow-up. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Be delighted. Recognize the gentleman from California, Mr. Issa.